Hey guys, welcome back. The Ice Hockey Aussies here to talk about another trade with you guys. It's insane how many are coming through. You'd almost believe it was trade deadline time. Um, the Vancouver Canucks have acquired Filip Hronek from the Detroit Red Wings. Now, they also get a 2023 fourth round pick. Now, and Detroit acquire a 2023 first round pick. That is the New York Islanders conditional pick that the Vancouver Canucks picked up from the Bo Horvat trade, which essentially is the whichever first round pick is highest between the New York Islanders and the Dallas Stars picks that the New York Islanders currently hold. And then on top of that, they receive a 2023 second round pick. This is an interesting trade for me. I'm a bit confused about it, but I'll kick it off to Jaden to get us started.
Alrighty. Yeah, so my thoughts on this trade, I think this is a win for Detroit and a loss for Vancouver, purely for the fact that Vancouver just seems to always trade away their picks no matter what. They finally get a first round pick in a trade, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're doing this rebuild, retool, and then they immediately trade it out. Um, it seems to be their go to plan, and I think this is going to probably set them to be ordinary again going forward because they're not rebuilding through the draft, which they should be doing. That's why I call it a loss for Vancouver. They do get a good player in Hronek. I think he's like 19th in the league of defensemen in points. So they actually get quality, but you got to look at it from a Detroit perspective. It's like, why would they do this when they're going for the playoffs? They're in that playoff hunt, and they lose a player and only get picks back. Like, why would they do that? To just free up some space to make other moves. But also, it's like, well, they've probably made good return on their assets, and which I think they have here. I think they've done really well. That second round pick from Vancouver is going to be a higher second round pick because it's from Vancouver, and the New York Islanders one can be a you know mid-table high round pick. So you're probably getting chance at two quality players from this draft coming up. So yeah, that's why I call it a win for Detroit and a loss for Vancouver, even though they do get a player that has another year left on his contract as well.
Yeah, I think what I found interesting was yeah, okay, Detroit is in the hunt. Um, but I kind of understand it from their perspective, and I think this is probably another Steve Yzerman sort of strategy is he probably feels they're not quite ready for playoffs yet. So is it really worth keeping a player like Hronek? Don't get me wrong, he's an RFA, so he can be re-signed, all the rest of that. But when something like this falls your way, and as you said, you're getting a second round pick from Vancouver that is most likely going to be a relatively high pick, because of obviously uh, where Vancouver is situated right now, right? So you're probably looking at mid 30s to low 40s at worst is going to be that second round pick, which is a really good pick essentially. And then on top of that, you get another first round pick on top of what you've already got. So, um, yeah, I was a bit confused looking at it originally, thinking why would you trade one of your better defensemen away? I know they've got a lot of good young up and coming defensemen coming through their system, but it just seems strange given that they're actually in a really good position to push for the playoffs this season. But I also I'm trying to look at it from a future perspective, which Userman would be doing, and he's just traded away a defenseman who, yeah, is great, but they can replace him, and he's also picked up two really quality draft picks. So I think that's a fantastic job from Yzerman yet again. I mean, I don't think we should ever doubt that man. The stuff he does is just phenomenal. But it also confuses me from a Vancouver Canucks. I read something from a Canucks fan today, and they say, "Great, this is amazing. When everybody thought we were finally heading down the rebuild path, management makes the decision to get a player that's now going to stick us in the 17th to 22nd position standings for the next 3 years, and we're going to live through hell for another 3 years. And it's kind of accurate.
I think it's 100% accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd move. Don't get me wrong. I think Hronek's a good player, and he will add some stuff to Vancouver. Um, and obviously he's an RFA, so they can sign him long term. But to give up those two picks in what is supposed to be a relatively good draft, it just doesn't seem like the right call from a Vancouver perspective. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. A big win for Detroit and Vancouver management. Probably
Oh,
got a
yeah.
question.
Yeah, I think they're a
You got
joke,
a question?
honestly. I think it's a joke. Like no joke. You can count on your hand +1, so a toe or a finger. That's 6 players that they've got that are drafted. So that's Pedersen, Brock Beza, who is on the trade block. You got Podkolzin, you got Hughes, Boy, and then Thatcher Demko. That's their draft. Everything else is trade or signed. Um, and they, yeah, like you said, they pick up these good picks. It looks like they're going to finally rebuild through the draft again. And they decide, no, we don't do that. Even though you look at their um, what they have drafted, and Pedersen, Beza, Hughes, Demko, like they are quality players, and it shows that doing it through the draft is a good idea. And
Well,
they just
not just
refuse to do
that.
that.
It shows that they've also got a good development team because they're developing talent. So,
Yeah,
it's one thing to draft correctly, but it's another thing to actually develop talent.
oh,
And they've
yeah.
been able to do that so far with several different players. So, yeah, I don't understand why they're not trusting themselves to go to a draft in a in what is meant to be a reasonably good draft year as well. Like I could understand handing away those draft picks if it was a poor draft class, right? But you've just handed potentially anywhere from pick what 12 to probably low 20s and a pick that's going to be mid to low 40s. Like they're two pretty good draft picks for yep, okay, all for it. Hronek's a reasonably good defenseman, but it's not exactly what they need.
Nah, nah. I think it's a joke. I think their organizations look like a joke a lot through this season with all the controversies that's happened. I think this trade kind of sums it up. And if I was a Vancouver fan, I would be absolutely livid. Because you've been screaming for a rebuild for so long, it looks like you're finally going in that direction, and then they just U-turn you immediately. That we're not going to do it that way. And like you said, it screams that they got good scouting and development to get these picks. But if I was a scout for Vancouver, I wouldn't even scout. I'd be going on holiday, having fun because I know I know it's not going to matter in the end. Um, and yeah, so no, I think this is very questionable. I'd be very livid if I was a Vancouver fan, even though Hronek is a good player. Um, because I just think it's not the right direction type of trade that the Vancouver needs to make right now. And that's I guess that's my final thoughts on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think yeah, we're both in agreement. Big win from Detroit acquiring some really good picks and in the hands of Stevie Easman, they could turn into anything. Um and really questionable from Vancouver Canucks. So I think there's probably going to be a few frustrated Canucks fans out there. What I would like to touch on, I know this is a trade video, but I'd also like to talk about Dylan Larkin re-signing with the Detroit Red Wings. 8 years at $8.7 million. We've already said it through this video, but Stevie Easterman gets it done again.
Yeah, no, it's a good signing. good term, good amount of money. It's kind of what type of contract you probably want to see Timo Meyer sign as well. So yeah, look, they were gonna look like they're gonna have cap trouble. This trade makes it better on the cap. Signing Dylan Larkin for 8.7 doesn't hurt as much as some of the big signings that other teams tend to do. And it looks like they're building a good team, especially around the cap era as well, which means next year onwards, especially depending what these picks turn into, if they're NHL ready or not, could be very dangerous.
Well, I think, where I sort of look at it with is, Dylan Larkin, captain of the team, everything he has done for the franchise. He's obviously a Detroit boy. He's from Michigan, so yeah, it's fantastic. But they also signed him for $400,000 less than the Islanders signed Matt Barzal. So, there was a lot there to say that he should be a $9 to $9.5 million player. They've given the Islanders gave Matt Barzal 9.1, relatively similar players. You could, question that Larkin's goal scoring ability is probably, there a bit more than what Barzal's is, but they're probably quite similar. And one's the captain, one's not. So yeah, to get him for 8.7, I think that's a big win for Detroit. You get to keep your captain. He's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic all round.
Yeah, last thing I would add on that comparison though is Larkin does get a no trade clause while Barzal has got nothing to protect him. So yeah, basically he's a Detroit boy now unless he waives it, and Barzal could be traded at any time. So that's probably why he gets that little bit more money. That's all I would like to add on to that.
That's fair. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we'll finish the video up there. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you like this trade for the Detroit Red Wings and the Vancouver Canucks? If you're a Vancouver fan, go nuts. Yeah. Tell us how you feel in the comments. We'd love to hear it because we could only imagine how frustrated you guys are at the moment. And if you're a Detroit fan, how do you feel about Dylan Larkin signing? We'd love to hear that. And like always, if you like the video, give us a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, take care.
Have a good one.